And we are live. Can everybody see me? Can everybody hear me? How we doing, everybody? Okay. So, we got some stuff to talk about tonight. Whenever something big goes down, I like to try to go live for an hour to just talk about it. Paul Holman, welcome to the stream. So, today we got some very interesting information from mostly Pete Carroll and a little bit of John Schneider. They kind of gave us a window into their line of thinking this offseason. So, we should talk about it. I already made a long video about it. If you want my detailed thoughts on everything he said, you can go watch that video, but this is an opportunity to talk about it. But I'm going to run it down here real quick. And then we'll discuss it in detail. So basically, Carroll came out to address the media before the combine and to highlight some of the things that he said. Basically, he talks about he's excited to adjust the defense, go to this 3-4, and that it was time to try to do something a little more creative after over a decade of doing the cover 3. Said that we really want to improve the pass rush, and there was a lot of focus on Darrell Taylor's name when discussing this move. It seemed to be the case that Darrell Taylor was the main reason why the change was made. I like that. I think that Darrell Taylor is going to be a guy who potentially excels in the new defense. So that's exciting. I think that if Taylor is allowed to move around and come at the offense from different angles and occasionally put his hand in the dirt, occasionally play standing up, he will become a better player for it. And hopefully he can become a centerpiece of this defense along with Jamal Adams going forward. And by the way, I think this new defense will benefit Jamal Adams as well. So all the stuff he said about the defense sounded pretty good to me. He also commented on Bobby Wagner, which I know is going to be very interesting to a lot of people, myself included, where he basically acknowledged that we cannot bring back Bobby Wagner for this price. So he knows that either Bobby won't be here or Bobby will be here on a reduced cost in 2022. This is encouraging to me. It seems very clear to me that he is aware that you can't bring back Wagner at $20 million plus. So at least we have that. Now, how much will he come back for? I don't know. But at the very least, Pete is aware. I liked that. He talked about Andy Dickerson having a positive impact on the offensive line at the end of the season. Talked about being really excited to bring back Rashad Penny and acknowledging that that's going to be somewhat difficult to do. One of the highlights was that he said that Russell Wilson is not available and there is no interest in trading him at this point in time. So I think most people are going to be comfortable with that. I know some people wanted him traded, or some people at least wanted the possibility to be open. But I don't think that a Russell Wilson trade is realistic right now. He also spoke a little bit about the defensive staff. Said that Desai will scheme coverages with Carl Scott and Clint Hurt will coordinate while focusing on improving the defensive front, which makes sense. We'll see if it works, but in theory, I think it's good. Also said that Jamal Adams is actually going to have a full offseason for the first time since he got to Seattle, which that can only mean positive things as well. And those were the main things he went into today that I liked. But we got to spend some time talking about some of the other things he said, because there were some real howlers in this press conference for me. And honestly, some of the things that were said by Carroll and Schneider are reaffirming my belief that we are not going to have high levels of success until those guys are out. So, looking at some of the other comments that Carroll made about the state of this team and the offseason plan. First, he said that there's no real philosophical change in the offseason. And this was something that was echoed by Schneider. That presumably means you don't get any massive free agents. You don't try to shake the team up in any significant way. You trust the guys that you have, and you hope that they can figure it out. I don't like this. I think this is a big problem. I don't understand why that's the mentality right now when you're coming off this bad season and the fan base is starting to turn on you, whether or not you acknowledge that. The fan base was already starting to abandon ship last year. I don't know why you wouldn't be a little more aggressive now that you have money, now that you have the ability to get better, and you seem very interested in turning that opportunity down. He went on to say that we want to get our guys back, and continuity is a big deal. So, based off what he was saying, sounds like we are going to bring back Dwayne Brown, which is defensible. But he also talked about bringing back Ethan Posick, and the way he was talking about bringing back Ethan Posick sounded like they wanted to bring him back as a starter. I think that's kind of inexcusable to even consider bringing back Posick as the starter. There is continuity, but what you gain in continuity, you lose in the fact that he's just not that good. I will grant you that he's a passable scheme fit, but he's a very slightly above average at best center. I don't know if he's a top 40 center in the NFL. Maybe. I don't think he's top 30. So the fact that Carroll spoke as if the plan is to re-sign Ethan Posick and start him is, I think, really, really troubling. He also spoke about re-signing Quandre Diggs, DJ Reed, Sidney Jones, and Rashad Penny. Now, some of that I'm cool with, some of it I'm not. Re-signing Penny is fine. Re-signing Dwayne Brown is defensible. Re-signing Posick as a backup would be fine. But when you throw in DJ Reed and Sidney Jones and Dwayne Brown, again, defensible, you're talking about some serious money. And we have money to spend this offseason, but it's going to go quickly if you're obsessed with bringing back players like Quandre Diggs, who has been really good for the last 2.5 years in Seattle. But at the end of the day, your defense has at no point been great with him, and the results of your seasons have at no point been great with him either. So, thinking about paying a dude who, by the way, just broke his leg in a, gruesome scene at the end of the season to a potentially $40 million deal. Because, by the way, we already know Quandre's trying to get paid. Quandre has made it very clear he is not playing for a discount. So to me, the fact that we're so obsessed with bringing back a bunch of players from a 7-win season that was probably even worse than 7 wins, I don't like it. And I really don't like the fact that the obsession seems to be with keeping things as the same as possible. And we also have to point out here that Schneider is trying to avoid using void years or redoing deals. As we sit here, the Cowboys, the Packers, and I think the Titans are getting involved too. They have already started to restructure deals. The Packers are already using void years to try to make this work. So these are the teams that we're competing with in 2022. They're willing to pull out the gun. We're standing here with a knife. To me, the unwillingness to use void years or to restructure deals is honestly single-handedly fireable. If you are a GM who thinks you can get away with doing that, then you are wrong and you need to be fired immediately. That is how I feel. That is what I believe. The only way to do that would be to get a phenom quarterback on a rookie deal. like what the Bengals had with the Burrow. They didn't have to spend the big bucks because they had a quarterback driving everything that only cost a couple $1,000,000. So if you're not willing to use void years and move money around and be aggressive in creating cap space, then honestly, I'm going to say it, you should just trade Wilson. Because that's what it takes to build around an expensive franchise veteran quarterback. So, honestly, while I think it's good that we're not trading Wilson, part of me would respect it more if we decided that, yeah, let's start this over, because at least that would be doing something different, and at least that would be trying to produce a really strong product. Because if you get that rookie quarterback playing for peanuts at a high level, then you can actually build a stacked roster without messing around with your cap. So that to me is the most discouraging thing to come out of this. The Seahawks think they're smarter than everybody else, and they're not. And it's going to create average to barely above average results, in my estimation. So that is very discouraging to me. I like a lot of the things that he had to say about the defense. I like the fact that, I mean, in a vacuum, I like the fact that we're not trading Wilson, I guess. Like, that's fine. But it sounds like they didn't learn anything in 2021. It seems like the plan is to bring back everything on the offense in 2022. The whole offensive line is the same. The running backs are going to be the same, except maybe we had like a rookie. The receivers are going to be the same, which is fine. The receivers are good. Maybe we change up the tight ends, but not in a way that really matters. And we're just going to be like, okay, Wilson, hopefully you have an average offensive line. If things break well, we'll have a slightly above average offensive line. Figure it out. Look, I think an elite quarterback should be able to make it work with an average offensive line. And I think that now the onus shifts to Wilson to play with that average to above average at best offensive line. But we have a lot of evidence that indicates that Wilson struggles in that situation. He's not like a Tom Brady processing information really fast, getting the ball out, and not taking the sack. So, to me, if you're really going to just say, you know what, we're just going to have an average offensive line, we're not even going to try to be great, this is the offensive line that we have, whatever, Wilson, if you don't like it, then kiss my ass, then honestly, I don't know why you're keeping him. Part of me wonders. The hope is that Wilson progresses tremendously within the Waldron offense and becomes a short to intermediate passer, getting the ball out quickly, like a Tom Brady, like an Aaron Rodgers, somebody who doesn't camp in the pocket for too long. And hopefully that works. But part of me kind of wonders why this is the direction we're going. Like, why do we think that we can just outsmart everybody when clearly that hasn't been working for a while? We have one playoff win in the last 5 years. And I don't know. It's just really frustrating. So, we've got like 32 people in here now, so I'll go ahead and open it up. Usually I do these Let's Talk streams a little later, but I wanted to get this one over with so I could get onto some other stuff. But real quick, before we get into the comments, please like the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you want daily Seahawks content. We are 2 subs away from 6,800. Become a channel member for $2 or $5 a month. And there's a tip jar to my left. Any super chats you send in will show up in the tip jar and help keep the channel going. Alright, let's see here. What draft picks do we have? We're missing a first rounder and a 6th rounder because of Sidney Jones. And then we have an extra 4th rounder because of the Jamal trade, I think. Something like that. Do you think we should get a receiver 3? No. I think Eskridge is going to be fine. And even if Eskridge isn't going to be fine, he we got to find out. I don't think we can bring in another. I don't think we can bring in another big guy right now. I mean, let me be clear. If Carroll is talking about bringing in Posick as a backup, that's totally fine. I think Posick is a great backup. But there are some much better centers available on the market and ones who would fit this scheme better. Mitch Morse will probably be available, but even if you don't count that, you have Jason Kelsey, you have Ben Jones, you have what's the guy's name? The Brian Allen from the Rams. You have Austin Corbett also from the Rams. So if you're looking at this free agency class of centers, which is pretty good, and you just go, we're good with our mediocre center in Posick, who, by the way, is injury prone. To me, that is an unacceptable amount of just arrogance on your part. Carroll talked today about how they had gotten arrogant on defense and that needed to change. Well, now it kind of sounds to me like you're being a little arrogant on offense. You think that mediocre players, or, well, I shouldn't say mediocre, but, lesser talent can achieve great results because your coaching is that good. When the reality is, that's not how we won a Super Bowl 8 years ago. 9 years ago now. Well, the Super Bowl was in 2014, so I guess 8. When do you think Carroll's time is up? As soon as he has another bad season, honestly. I don't think this fan base is very fair weather, man. They're going to turn quickly. What do you think about signing Joseph Noteboom to compete for a starting tackle spot? He knows the scheme and played well last year. Can he play right tackle? If you want to sign him to compete with right tackle, I'm cool with that. We need competition over there. It can't be that expensive, but we need work, but we need something. I don't want to just give the job to Curhan. Yeah, the way Carroll is talking, it really just sounds like he wants to keep all the old guys and not really change anything. Well, let me take that back. I think that Carroll's plan is to spend all the money on defense and just keep the offense exactly the same almost. Because my sense is that he knows that we're going to need a nose tackle, we're going to need maybe a defensive end, and probably 2 outside linebackers to make this 3-4 defense work. So he's probably sitting there thinking like, okay, let's bring in we got to spend on this defense, and that's fine, but it sounds like it's going to come at the expense of the offense, where I think the best realistic case scenario for 2022, the offensive line is above average, like not even top 10. Like, we're hoping and praying that the offensive line in 2022 is a little, I think I would say above average, like 12th, 13th best in the NFL. That's the best case scenario. That's not including the scenario where Dwayne Brown turns into dust. Not including the scenario where Jake Curhan ends up being fool's gold. How do you feel about signing Hassan Reddick? I'm for it. I think I like Clowney a little bit more because he'll be cheaper, but Reddick would be good. I don't have a problem with that. He would be near the top of the list, but I think I'm more of a Clowney guy. Like look at the if you bring back the same offensive line, you've got Dwayne Brown, who is 37 years old and has a bad knee. Damian Lewis, who is slow and plodding and can't play left guard in this league, even though we're trying to make him. Ethan Posick he's okay. He does his job okay, but he's not strong enough to run block the way that Chris Carson needs his centers to run block. He's decent in space, and he's a decent pass blocker, and he's fairly cerebral as a center, but he's not good enough. You've got Gabe Jackson, who was pretty good last year, but he's getting older. The age is starting to catch up with him. I think it's a problem. And then you've got Jake Curhan, a UDFA right tackle who played a couple hundred snaps last year fairly well, and that's about it. Thoughts on Chandler Jones? Chandler Jones is somebody that I'm kind of wary of. I'm kind of putting my stay away flag up on Chandler Jones. Does this mean we'll not get any new offense? That's kind of how it sounded to me when Carroll was talking today. He sounded like he just wants to bring everything back from the offense in 2021 and bet on continuity and the Waldron offense to make everything better. And look, continuity has value. I think Waldron in his second year will improve. And you got to figure things like Wilson will be better just because he kind of sucked last year. The offensive line might be better just because you're going to have a little more. You're not going to have Kyle Fuller, but is it going to be better by enough? You're still not working with a ton of talent up there. Can you put Lewis at center? Maybe, but I'm kind of tired of jerking that guy around. Like, Lewis is an immobile player. He plays in a phone booth. If you were okay with an immobile center who plays in a phone booth, just draft Creed Humphrey last year. That's why I think we didn't draft Creed Humphrey. He plays in a phone booth. But Damian Lewis would probably do the same thing too. So why not just draft Creed Humphrey, leave Damian Lewis at right guard, and like this is common sense stuff, man. This is just common sense. Yeah, Mateus. The thing that really bugs me is that we're not even trying to get somebody like a Teron Armstead. Like, not getting him is one thing, but not even trying and just like surrendering and rolling over and being like, okay, Dwayne Brown it is at 37 years old is a mistake. I don't know why. I don't know. Like, a couple weeks ago, I made a video where I said I think the Seahawks may have had a plan. Now I don't know, because now they sound like they're scared of going all in again. This team once traded a first-round pick for Percy Harvin to try to go all in. And now we're afraid to even use void years when every other team is doing it. It's aggravating, to be sure. And I'm going to make a video about this in the near future. But I'll put it like this. If I'm Russell Wilson right now, I'm calling up my agent, I'm calling up Schneider, I'm calling up the media, and I'm saying I want to trade. And that's not me being a Wilson fanboy. Like, you guys know me. You guys know I am not like that. I have nothing but contempt for Wilson fanboys. I think they are. I honestly wish they would all be expelled from this fan base because I don't like them, because I think they place a player above the team. But being objective, if I'm Wilson, and I heard that press conference from Carroll this morning, and what I hear is, oh, we're not really going to improve the offense personnel. We're not going to bring in more offensive talent. We're not going to bring in stars like what Wilson asked for years ago. Then honestly, I'm like, get me out of here. I mean, that's what Aaron Rodgers did. And when Aaron Rodgers did it, the Packers were like, whoa, okay, we got to start listening to this guy. So at the very least, maybe you would get that. I mean, look at the Packers right now. They are willing to completely mutilate themselves to appease Aaron Rodgers for probably one more year of elite play, right? And that happened in part because Rodgers said, get me out of here, and forced the team to be like, okay, we got to cater to this guy. So, to me, the fact that we're not doing that even at this point with this money to spend, I don't know what's going on in Wilson's head right now. But if I'm him, I'm sitting there being like, wow, I'm really never going to get what I need here, huh? Mateus, the trades are off the table. If you listen to what Carroll and Schneider and Wilson are saying, there's no way he gets traded, Mateus. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. Terrence Barbie, Teron Armstead, Ben Jones, Jason Kelsey, uh, I guess Andrew Norwell, but he's not getting out of Jacksonville. That's, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's on in Wilson's head right now. Maybe he's just like, it's fine, whatever. I don't care. I'll try to figure it out. But maybe, I don't know. If I'm him, I'm like, wow, this really isn't working out for me. I'm getting out of here. Like I don't know how to translate what Carroll said in any other way than we're not going to get anything new on offense. We're just going to run it all back. Everything on offense is going to be the same, and continuity will make it better because whatever money we have, we're going to spend on our own players or defense. That's how it felt to me. And again, look at what the Packers are willing to do to appease Aaron Rodgers when he said, "Get me out of here." Hmm. Chase Young even good? He kind of sucked last year and then he got injured. Like Chase Young might be a bust. That's a terrible trade. And by the way, we're not talking Wilson trades anymore. Okay? If I had even a whisper of a thought that the team was interested in trading him, then yeah, we could talk about it. But right now it's just silly. We might as well talk about, I don't know, trading the cheerleaders. There's about an equal amount of interest in trading them as there is Russ right now. And I know some people are disappointed in that, and I get it. I don't have an issue with that. I know there were some people who wanted to trade him, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but it's clearly not happening. I don't want to I don't want to dismiss the value of continuity, but it really just feels like we're betting the whole world on continuity, and we forgot about the part where on this offensive line at least, we need better players. I like our receivers. I think we can get pretty decent tight ends for cheap. Running backs, okay. Bring back Penny. Maybe bring in a rookie. You're okay, but really? Well, yeah, I'm not. Well, yeah, it can work, Tumbo, of course, but it can work. But just just because it'll always work like that doesn't mean you can assume it. I'm not even asking for five new starters, by the way. It just bothers me that the way Carroll was talking today, it sounded like we weren't going to bring in anything new on the offensive line. It's going to be Dwayne Brown, Curhan at tackle, Gabe and Damien at guard, and Posick at center. And it's like, really? This is the best we can do? Jake, I don't feel that way at all. I think Wilson has pretty much shut it down. And for Schneider to come out and say, "Oh, we're not gonna use void years. We're not gonna move money around because that's scary. Oh, we don't like taking chances around here." Honestly, when I heard Schneider say that, there was I was literally hoping that Jody Allen would come down from a, I don't know, come down from like a blimp and immediately fire them both because to me, thinking something that stupid should you lose your job immediately. Like, how can you possibly think that you're going to be able to find a way to win in this league when you're paying a veteran quarterback big money and you know that these other teams are mutilating themselves and it's not going away? Do you understand this, guys? Right now, the teams that are going all in super aggressively are like the Rams, the Packers, to a certain extent the Cowboys. then when they're done, there are going to be other teams who go all in. So if you're never the team that is willing to go all in, then what are you expecting? Well, Tumbo, but when the Cam Chancellor thing happened, most teams didn't do this void year stuff or this restructuring stuff, not nearly as much as they do now. Now, when you look around the league, you see everybody doing it constantly. Any team that is trying to compete, unless they have a rookie quarterback or a quarterback on a rookie deal, they are restructuring and like crazy. They're using void years like crazy, and we're scared of it. It honestly, I seriously don't know how to translate it other than to say that Carroll and Schneider kind of came out today and admitted, we don't really care about winning the Super Bowl. We just want to win 10 games. We just want to win enough to keep the stadium full. As if the problem last year was not that we lost. The problem was the stadium was only half full for the last couple home games. It sounded like loser talk to me. And, we do have some losers in this fan base. We do have some, people who absolutely need to get out of this fan base. Who are cool with 10 wins a year. They think that's like an achievement. They think that's an accomplishment. But to me, it just kind of sounded like, yeah, we're not even going to try to win the Super Bowl. Maybe we'll fall ass backwards into one, but we are not going to try to go all out to win a Super Bowl because that's not the goal here. Which, if that's the case, then I'll say it again, just trade Wilson. Then you can get a quarterback on a rookie deal, and then you can build the stack team without taking chances, without moving money around. But if you're not willing to move the money around, then you can't have the expensive quarterback. That's how I feel about it. I don't know. That's honestly how I feel. I kind of go looking at it in a broader scope. It kind of feels like Carroll's plan was for Wilson to be okay and he could win with him, but then Wilson ended up becoming better than Carroll expected. And then it was like, oh, shit, we have to pay him now. Okay, I guess we have to do it, but it's like he did it, and then he didn't think about what he would have to do after that. And he's not willing to do those things. I don't know. That's how it kind of feels. So, let's see here. They're scared but spend 70 million on Jamal Adams. Yeah, the thing is the Jamal Adams contract, if he gets back to where he was in New York, is not that bad. Admittedly, but the trade makes it atrocious. Like, the unwillingness to use void years to me is by itself fireable. All the good teams do it, except for the teams with rookie quarterbacks who don't have to. You cannot get away with paying a quarterback 35 mil a year and then not use void years, not move money around, da 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 da. And somehow Carroll thinks he's going to outsmart everybody and find a way to pull it off when he hasn't even come close in 7 years. So that's the discouraging part to me. That part for me is kind of hard to get past, I'll admit. I heard a guy today in that press conference who basically said, I didn't learn anything from last year. And I blame everything last year on Wilson getting hurt when honestly we were sucking before Wilson got hurt. And, yeah. So the good news is I do like what I'm hearing about this defense. I like the direction the defense is going. I'll give them credit there. But I don't know if it's going to matter. Not going to matter enough. Anyway, it kind of feels like they think there's some sort of arrangement with Wilson where they go, okay, we'll pay you all the money. We'll give you the monster contract. But we're not going to give you an offensive line. Like, deal with it. If you want an offensive line, you have to give your money back. It almost feels like that's how they feel about it. Like, okay, we'll pay you if you want to get paid, but this is your offensive line, deal with it. Like, it kind of feels like that's their mentality. I think we will make a big move in free agency, Mateus, but it'll probably be on the defense. It'll probably be someone like a Clowney or a Reddick. We kind of have to. Like, if we actually go into 2022 with Benson Mayoa as a starting outside linebacker, then every single season ticket holder better cancel their season tickets for this season. I don't want to see a single Seahawks fan in that stadium the rest of the year if they actually think they can get away with that garbage. I think we will spend big on defense, but I don't get the sense that there's any interest in spending on offense. Now, words are words, but actions are actions. In a couple weeks, free agency will kick off, and I'll say this: teams are able to re-sign their free agents now if they want to. They can do it at any time, and we have not re-signed anybody yet except for the future contracts. So the fact that we haven't gotten anything done yet may indicate that some of these guys that Carroll wanted to bring back are not going to be back because there may be a big difference between what Schneider's willing to give them and what they're worth, or what they think they're worth, or they want to at least test the market. So even though Carroll is saying, oh, we really want to bring back DJ Reed, we want to bring back Quandre Diggs, we want to bring back Posick, very unlikely that those deals get done before free agency. So some of those guys are going to be hitting the open market, and some of those guys are going to have the opportunity to go elsewhere. So if that happens, then that would kind of force us to do something a little bit different than we usually do. But based on what I heard Carroll say today, it's not happening. I didn't hear anything that made me believe that, oh, okay, he's really starting to figure this thing out. I didn't see it. I didn't see somebody who learned anything from 2021. And unfortunately, there are enough Seahawks fans who will buy into that narrative, who will be like, yeah, okay, Daddy Pete told me that last year, like, I should just pretend that 2021 didn't happen, so I'm going to pretend that 2021 didn't happen. So it's going to work for the moment. It's going to work for the moment. But this fan base is also very fair weather in my experience, so I do expect them to bail on this team if they do not win. And you're going to see some very, very bad home crowds, and I think that'll probably force something. But at the same time, honestly, this process could produce a 10-win team that makes the wild card and loses a close game in the first round. And that might be enough to make some people happy because some people have low standards for this team, and I don't understand why. Like, we should be beyond that, but some people aren't. So if that happens, then I have to believe that Carroll's probably going to be sticking it out for a little while longer. Yeah, Mateus, that's also a possibility. Like, even forgetting all that other stuff about the offensive line, I think the thing that really needs to be remembered here is that these guys are not good scheme fits for the Waldron offense. At least I don't think so. Like, I don't think Dwayne Brown can move enough, although you can get away with that. Curhan can move okay, but not great. Gabe Jackson can't really move. Dwayne Brown, I'm sorry, Damian Lewis really can't move. Posick can kind of move, but it's not really a great offensive line for this scheme. And it kind of blows my mind that Carroll seems to think that, oh, well, we're just going to run this scheme. It doesn't really matter who the players are. It's not, at that point, it's not even really about talent. It's just about scheme fit. And I kind of understand bringing back Posick as a scheme fit, but again, that should be as a backup. I don't know. Listening to what Pete said, he didn't sound like winning's the priority. It sounds like the priority is getting to hang out with people that I like, my friends, get my friends paid. Um, we're casting a Adam Sandler movie. It doesn't matter if David Spade's a good actor. We're gonna cast him in this movie because he's my friend, and I want to hang out with my friend while we shoot this movie. It doesn't. I mean, hopefully we see something different in a couple weeks. But I mean, would it really surprise anybody if Carroll really was thinking about things this way? Well, I mean, it's not like Wilson should get full say over who his coaches are. I get that. But I don't know why. It doesn't seem like there's any give and take when it comes to like where they address the team needs. It really sounds like they just completely ignore whatever Wilson wants because Wilson's asked for things before. Doesn't seem like he ever gets them. Um, and I mean, fuck, man. It just kind of blows my mind. Just kind of blows my mind if this is the way we really go. But I'll say it again. Honestly, I'm not saying this would be better for the team, but I would actually have had, in a way, I would have had more respect for Carroll if he came out today and said, "Yeah, we're moving Wilson. Make your offers. We're going to trade Wilson." Because at least then he would be admitting that, yeah, the way we're doing things is not working. I need to try something else. I need to try something new. So if you're not willing to change the offensive line, if you're not willing to change the running backs, not willing to change anything in terms of personnel, then just change the quarterback. Change something. Like, I think I would respect that. I mean, I don't want that, but I would respect that more than this idea of just, keep it the same, keep it the same, keep it the same, keep it the same. And again, like if I'm Wilson, I'm kind of thinking about, hey, maybe it's time for me to ask out of here. Maybe it's time for me to request that trade. But I don't know what's going on in his head. In his mind, he might be like, okay, cool. I get to be the magician again. I don't know. Who the hell knows? I kind of, if this year doesn't go well, I'm really confident Wilson's gone next year. Honestly, I think it'll be the last year of Wilson's contract. If this year doesn't go well, then Wilson is going to want an extension, and we're probably not going to be willing to give it to him. So then we trade him. Like if this year doesn't go well, then I think that it's Dunzo Bunzo. I don't think we're that competitive right now, Bryson. And who cares about being competitive? I don't want to be competitive. I want to be great. Why would I want Saquon Barkley? Dude's a bust. I think Sidney Jones is pretty good, Sean. I'm a fan of his. I like Sidney. He grew on me. It took a while to prime the pump for him, but he's good. I like Sidney. What do you think we need to win the West? Well, we need to bring in some new personnel to run this 3-4 defense, and I think we need at least one significant offensive line upgrade. What I will say is I'm interested to see how the money breaks out. Maybe these guys are going to be brought back for less than I thought. I've thrown out the number 1 year, 7 million for Dwayne Brown. Maybe it's less. Maybe he doesn't care about the money that much at this point and just wants to play. I don't know why. Like, protecting Wilson is hard work, and he did not enjoy it very much last year. Jones will only be good. Yeah, Jones is a pure zone corner. If he tries to go somewhere where he plays man, it's going to be terrible. Carroll is a defensive back guru. I mean, DJ Reed's a good example of this too, by the way. DJ Reed was thrown on the garbage heap in Frisco. They didn't think anything of him. He comes here and he starts playing great. Like, Carroll has a lot to do with that. That's the one thing I can give Carroll at this point. He's a great defensive back coach, but there's a lot more to being a head coach than just that. And right now, I'm not seeing a guy who's doing the things that he needs to be doing. 1 second, guys. Ian Harper, that would be okay. It depends on how we attack free agency, though. We have other needs as well. Ryan Neal is not a good safety. Ryan Neal is a decent dime cornerback. He's barely playable as a safety. 1 second, guys. Yeah, I'm wondering what DJ Reed's going to ask for. I could have it completely backwards on DJ. The thing with DJ Reed is that he's very small and has very limited pedigree. Jake Heap said that Carroll could be looking. Well, yeah, I expect that, SB. But that's the point. Like, it seems like the expenditures are going to be on defense, which I get, but it doesn't. The way Carroll spoke today, it sounded like a guy who wasn't interested in adding to this offense. It sounded like a guy who thought, we've got good. The players we have on offense, we're going to carry it all over, and all the money is going to be dumped into the defense. I do want Sidney Jones back, but he's not going to be that expensive. DJ Reed will be. Again, I broke it down a couple weeks ago. I said that if you want to re-sign Quandre and Reed, fine, but you have to be willing to use void years. And then John Schneider comes out and drops the elbow on that idea of like, oh, we don't want to use void years. We're scared. We think we're so much smarter than every other team we can get away with not using void years. Kiss my ass. Clemente, I would not know. Yeah, if we sign Brian Allen to play center, I'm okay with that, SB. I don't even think he's going to be that expensive. But yeah, if you bring in Brian Allen to start at center, that's that's a little more credible. That definitely has more credibility. I'd be okay with that. Okay, we're gonna stream for about another 12 minutes here, and then I'm gonna hop on Twitch. But before we get there, we got 62 people in here right now. Thank you everybody for showing up tonight. Please like the stream if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Become a channel member. We need, I think, 4 more this month. And the month just started, so we got plenty of time. But go ahead and become a member for $2 or $5 a month if you would like to. And any super chats you send in show up in the tip jar to my left and help keep the channel going. Yeah, Ted Karras would be okay. Yeah. Yeah, Derpy Squid, I stream on Twitch now. Look in the video description. You'll see the link to my Twitch. I now stream on Twitch. My channel's kind of getting bigger. So I decided to move over to Twitch because some people didn't want video game stuff on this channel. Well, SB, um, we don't know. Well, in fairness, we don't know what Schneider really does. Schneider just, it's Derpy Squid. All right, you're following me on Twitch now. Why do I get Twitch notifications on YouTube? It doesn't matter. Yeah, I want to cut Bobby, and Carroll's words today made it very clear that Bobby is not going to come back at 20 million, but he might come back at a separate price. Anakin, I saw it. I saw that he said it. Multiple people reported it. Hit. Well, I think taking a defensive tackle in the second round would be okay if you did things a certain way in free agency. But we've never been a very mock draftable team, I don't think. I mean, we've never really taken the guy that people expect us to take. So, yeah, I mean, you can try, but it's not going to work out well for you most of the time. Yeah, and if we cut Bobby, we save like 16.6. I think we're going to restructure the contract somehow so we save some money this year, but it's not going to be nearly as much as I want because the middle linebackers in a 3-4 defense, you don't need to spend a ton of money on those guys. Look at what the Packers do. They just throw anybody out there and they make it work because the rest of their defense is solid. And it's not that hard to be a tackle farmer. Cody Barton took over for Bobby Wagner last year, and he basically started tackle farming too. Oh, we just hit 6,800 subs. Not being reflected over here, unfortunately, because let me just go ahead and click a couple notifications to boost the number. Pete kept mentioning Alton as an outside line. Oh, okay, yeah, I missed that too. All right, 6,800. Let's go. I forgot to say Pete kept mentioning. I don't feel like Alton can physically do that. I don't feel like he can physically play outside linebacker in a 3-4, but we'll see, I guess. I just, I don't know. I don't know if I like it. Myers is in the last year of his deal. No, he said we're not going to restructure contracts. And he says we're not going to use void years. Well, Green's gone, Tumbo. I don't think we're bringing back Green. Like, I don't think Carroll mentioned Rasheem Green once today. So that tells me that he's gone because he's a free agent. Like, he was talking about everybody. But I didn't get any... I'm not seeing any interest in bringing that dude back. Which is good because, hey, he's not very good at football, but... Do you think we should bring Penny Hart back on the... I guess. I mean, he'll be on the practice squad, making a couple $100,000 a year. Really, Kronos? That makes sense, though, when you think about it. God, some Seahawks fans cannot handle listening to criticism of Bobby Wagner. I kind of understand it with Wilson. But what is this, like, inability to hear criticism of Bobby Wagner? They cannot handle it. They turned into like those, remember those girls back in like the OOs who would like get in a fight with people whenever somebody said Twilight was a bad book? That's what they turn into, man. Yeah, Penny Hart is a Russ guy. Unfortunately, we haven't seen it in a game yet. Hey, Web Knight. But Wilson really likes Penny Hart. That's got to count for something. And he's not going to be expensive. Honestly, he'll probably be a practice squatter and make a couple $100,000 a year. Nothing wrong with that. More money than I make. Yeah, I don't think Alton has a place on this team if we're going to do this 3-4 stuff. I don't know what he does in a 3-4. Like, I don't think he's strong enough to be defensive end in a 3-4, and I don't think he's agile enough to be an outside linebacker. No, I don't really trash Swain Tumbo. I think he's fine where he is. But a lot of his catches come on busted coverages. Let's be real here. Yeah, I like Cade. I kind of like Cade, but if it doesn't happen soon, it probably won't happen. I have no idea, Anakin. That's the thing. I don't know if we're gonna restructure it so he only makes 10 million. I don't know if we're gonna restructure it so he only makes 8 million. I have no idea. You recorded? Maybe I did say that at some point. Why did I say that? I definitely don't think he needs to go. I just think he needs to be the number 4 receiver. I don't really want him to be getting a ton of snaps or anything. Alton will transform into a DE in the 3-4. He's going to have to put on some weight. Yeah, if we better cut Myers. We can get a kicker just as good as Myers for about 25% of the cost. Um, well, Derpy Squid, that might have been because it took some time for that offense to really figure things out. Like, that was what, week 18? Are you going to watch any USFL? Maybe. But yeah, that was week 18. I think that was part of the reason why. That was something that needed to be integrated in as the season went on. But yeah, you're right. Hopefully, we see more of that stuff in 2022. Yeah, I would love Young Hoku. I just don't want to spend big on a kicker anymore. I don't think that works. The irony is, I think we had the right idea with the Blair Walsh thing. It was just the wrong guy. We needed to get a cheap kicker and hope it panned out, but that was just the wrong guy. What did I have for dinner? I had tomato soup. Homemade tomato soup. It's been a long time since we consistently destroyed the Rams, actually. Last time we consistently destroyed the Rams, they were like one of the worst teams in the league. Yeah, I still have my Dragon shirt. I was wearing it the other day. Apparently, the Dragons are going to come back. I'm excited for that. I'm interested to see what the new XFL looks like. I heard the Dragons are going to come back, which makes sense because we were doing better ticket sales wise than any other team, I think, even though we weren't good. I'm excited for that. I got a Dragons shirt. I have my Dragons towel here somewhere. But I'm excited for that. The problem with the USFL is there are no teams on the West Coast, so who the hell am I going to root for? All right, guys. So we went for like an hour. I think we kind of, I think we summed things up pretty good here. Basically, Carroll said some things that I liked about the defense mostly. I think that the defense has a chance to be really good and do some things the right way in 2022, but unfortunately, I'm feeling like the offense is going to get left behind a little bit in terms of personnel, and that's a problem because we're trying to pull this together. Timber8970, thank you for following on Twitch. Oh, I'm probably gonna just play SMT5 unless Snacks wants to play something, which he's busy right now, so I don't know. But to me, we're not we want to keep Wilson, but it doesn't seem like we're willing to do very much to make that work. If you want to make it work with Wilson, you need to give him a higher level offensive line, and it doesn't seem like we're willing to do that based off the comments today. But actions speak louder than words. All right, see you guys on Twitch in a little bit here. Peace out. Go Hawks. Thank you for coming out. Have a good night.